Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to Nature Obscura, a podcast where nature and the supernatural collide. I'm Marissa.
And I'm Grace. Each week, we share spooky happenings from the great outdoors, from cryptids to curses, ghosts to witches, and everything in between.
Now, while we love a haunted house or a scary hospital story, that's not what we're here for. We're taking you around the globe to explore where nature and the supernatural intersect.
At the beginning of each episode, we'll briefly share any spooky or naturey encounters we've had over the past week before diving into the main story.
So grab your flashlight, listen closely, and let's step into the strange together. Grace, how was your last week gone?
Yeah, it was pretty good, except something kind of spooky to some. To homeowners, our basement flooded.
Oh no.
Yeah, so Easter weekend, we found out that our basement flooded, which it rained a lot here in Michigan. So I think a lot of people's basements probably flooded. And there were like tornado warnings, and it was kind of a hectic, cold Easter this year.
It really was. Did you end up getting the basement flooding resolved? Did you figure out what it was?
Yeah, my husband, he's a rock star. He figured out what was going on. The sump pump was being overloaded, basically, and so he had to fix it. I think the previous owner had not installed it correctly, and luckily my husband is an engineer, basically, and figured it out and cleaned up the basement almost all by himself. Like he had a friend come over and help a little bit for moral support, but yeah, he got it all by himself. So I was really, really proud of him. He worked really hard on that. And
That's great.
yeah, and we got to see an old friend, so that wasn't spooky, but that's great.
We did. It was really nice, and I'm glad your basement flooding issue resolved. But yeah, I do feel like it's a cycle of you're always fixing the previous homeowners, like things they didn't fix or they like did a shortcut on,
Yeah,
literally and figuratively, and figure out what to do.
definitely. And with our house, there have been many shortcuts or just kind of ignored for, 50 years. And it's like, oh, that's a fire hazard or flooding, or we need to get rid of this or that. And it's been a whole thing. But just part of it, we're happy to finally own a home. But
Yeah, it's like even with all like the frustrations, it's definitely really nice being able to like own a home, and not many people can say that. One thing that I'm surprised my home like passed like a home inspection.
yeah.
Do you know about the laundry chute in my bathroom?
No, I didn't know you had a
Okay.
laundry chute.
Well, the previous homeowners of our house did a DIY laundry chute where they just cut a hole in the floor in the bathroom and put a hamper on top without a bottom.
Oh my God, that sounds dangerous.
It is. Like if you like thankfully it's a small bathroom too, but it's like yeah, don't misstep because it's a hole. Like
I've
I'm
never
not
noticed.
saying I could go through. Cody could probably Cody, my husband, if he like he could probably fall down it. Like it's crazy.
Hey, but just like if your leg just went through, it'd be so startling and you could probably get hurt or stuck.
For sure. I'd probably get stuck and I'd slam my head on the toilet because it's right next to the toilet, like the hole of despair. So we still have that same hamper the owners use. Like we have it sitting on top of it because we haven't like fixed it yet.
No way. I've been in your bathroom so many times. Wait, I can't wait to come back to your house.
Yeah, just watch out. I'll point it out to you. Be like, what?
I'll be like, this whole time I was that close to death.
For real. But yeah, this week, like you've kind of said, it was a pretty busy week. We really did sign up for their storm classes, like storm spotting classes, right in time. We had tornado warnings, I think, for both of our counties this past weekend. Um, did you hear about a tornado that did actually land in Michigan? It was 2 miles from my house.
I don't hear anything about Michigan news. What the heck?
I think it's because I follow a bunch of storm watching, like Michigan storm watchers groups.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it was a confirmed EF1 tornado. Yeah, it's the town closest to me. Anything spooky?
It's funny because At
No.
first, when we first started this podcast, I had some, we both had some kind of spooky things, but now it's just, adult spooky things, I don't know, taxes and houses falling apart and just all of these things. Cars breaking down.
And honestly, with that, I'm gonna make that my, like, spooky thing probably of next week is I think 7 days till taxes are due, which is the most horrifying thing of all, and I have not yet done them. But yeah, I'm excited for this week's episode. Um, we're going to Egypt, so a place we haven't been before, and we're talking about a possible lost magical land, um, within the Egyptian desert. And the journey countless archaeologists and treasure hunters have made in hopes of finding this hidden civilization or hidden town. It was such a vibe when I was doing the research on this. I pulled up ancient Egyptian music and I was just vibing.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But yeah, I was really pumped to do research on this, and I know had we both have a curiosity about Egypt and their culture, and whenever I was in high school, I had this phase where I tried to memorize all of the gods, the Egyptian
Really?
gods. Yeah. My
That's so
favorite
cool.
was, of course, the goddess of cats, Bastet, just the
Mhm.
coolest goddess. Um, that's who I would be if I was a goddess. So, yeah.
That's awesome. She's a really popular goddess. I think I've even heard of, like, people in modern times across the world worshiping her, having an
Yeah.
altar of her.
That just reminded me,
Um
in Salem, we went into a place and they had an altar for her. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I've always been fascinated by ancient Egypt. Of course, started with the mummy. I saw that, like, as a kid, and I had, like, all the Egyptology books that came through with Scholastic, so it's a place I've always wanted to visit, and yeah, I'm excited. Are you ready to jump into today's episode?
Definitely. All right, let's get into some background. When we imagine Egypt, we think of ancient monuments like the towering pyramids and the famous Sphinx, pharaohs with their numerous Egyptian gods, and the Nile River, which is the longest river in the entire world. We picture a landscape of flowing sand that hides ancient mysteries and tombs. For others, like Marissa and myself, we think of the incredibly successful movie franchise, The Mummy. It's the perfect combination of Brendan Fraser, ancient curses, coveted treasure, and a how to guide on how to defeat mummies. All historically accurate, of course. But this image is a relatively recent snapshot. Over an imperceptible amount of time, the land has undergone a total environmental transformation. What we now recognize as the arid Sahara Desert was once a landscape of pockets of wetlands. This was an era of megafauna and expansive Neolithic civilizations. To understand the scale of this change, from humid conditions to some of the driest on Earth, we have to look at the archaeological evidence left in Egypt's western desert caves. In and around Gelf Kabir, a sandstone plateau in the southwest where rainfall is essentially zero, Neolithic humans left behind petroglyphs, which are images painted or carved into the rock. In Wadi Sura, we find the Cave of the Swimmers, where human figures are shown in what appears to be a swimming stroke alongside images of giraffes and hippopotamuses. Further on is the Cave of Beasts, also known as Fajini Mestikawi. This site contains thousands of painted figures, humans, stenciled hands, and hybrid mythic forms. It also depicts crocodiles and ostriches, animals that require substantial water and standing vegetation. These aren't just art, they're biological records of the Holocene environment. They document a world that was much more humid and water dominated before it began a multi-thousand year descent into aridity. As the moisture vanished, the ecology of Egypt fractured into the specialized fragmented zones we see today. Throughout the western desert and along the Mediterranean strip, scattered oases act as biological anchors where shrubs, acacias, and palms sustain small mammals and bird populations, creating a rare intersection where wildlife and humans coexist. This gives way to the vast western desert and its sand seas, an enormous expanse of rock plateaus and gravel plains that remain ecologically significant despite their sparse appearance. Even in the remote Gilf Kabir, isolated springs support acacia trees, the Rose of Jericho, and a resilient cast of butterflies, lizards, and mammals. Despite this heat, Egypt remains a critical corridor for life, hosting roughly 480 bird species along major migration routes. In the open sands, you'll find specialists like spotted sand grouse, the greater hoopoe lark, and the white-crowned wheatear, while raptors like the black-winged kite and kestrels hunt over the wadis. And I have a photo of the black-winged kite, and I might say it is.
Yes, he is beautiful, mostly white with black feathers on the wings and stunning, striking red eyes.
They are so red. It is such a cool looking bird. And with the falcon beak, which is super sharp and pointed down, it just looks metal. Perfect
It
for Egypt.
does. Yeah, it's very the red in the eyes are so bright, it's almost like a neon red,
Yeah.
like a
And I
very, very
even,
bright red.
yeah. And I even looked it up because I was like, well, maybe they edited this picture to make them more red. It's just like that. It's just
Hmm,
that red. Yeah.
beautiful.
And the mammals that live in this harsh climate have become masters of the niche. The rim gazelle and the rocky slope specialist Barbary sheep live alongside small predators like the Ruppel's fox and the genet, which is an animal I'd never heard of before. Look up a photo, it is adorable. For Marissa, I put one at the bottom. It's the bottom left. It's at the bottom left.
Oh, it's God, I don't even know how to describe this.
Yeah,
Striped tail, like cheetah print patterned body, part rodent, cat, weasel. I don't know. The tail's giving raccoon. I'm just very confused. It's like a hodgepodge mixed match of a bunch of different animals.
whenever I learned of the genet, I had to look it up. I didn't go into a super big deep dive here because they are considered rare in Egypt, but I had to mention them. And at first glance, it does look like a type of cat, but they're part of the Viveridae family, which includes binturongs and civets, which are also very strange animals.
They are. I actually worked with binturongs before, and I would not expect they're part of the same family. So it's really interesting.
No, yeah, it's very strange. But perhaps one of the most iconic animals is the lesser Egyptian jerboa, a nocturnal, hopping rodent that can survive without even drinking standing water. There are also several endemic species, which are found nowhere else. The Egyptian weasel, flower shrew, the Nile Delta toad, which is tiny, it's adorable.
I'm
I-
looking it up right now. I
It's so
already looked
cute.
up the mouse. The mouse is amazing. It's got the longest tail ever and
Yes.
the longest little legs for it to jump.
I know, the animals here are so unique. I love them. And of course, I also looked up all of them as well as I was doing this research.
I'm surprised they have toads, like any sort of amphibian with how dry it's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's one of the driest places on earth.
I'm having a hard time finding even a photo of it. Might be rare or I'm not good at it's amazing. Cool.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's the Sinai baton, blue, one of the world's smallest and most range restricted butterflies. I also added a photo below because Marissa, look at how small it is.
Wow, it's probably like the size of your pinky nail to the human adult. Oh, that's amazing. It kind of looks like a moth. Side note, I do not know exactly what the difference between a moth and a butterfly is. I'm going to be
I
honest.
think moths are out at nighttime and butterflies are out at daytime. I think. I'm so sorry, everybody.
I'm trusting you completely.
I will do more research one day and I'll let everybody know, I promise. But
Thank you.
yes. But other than butterflies, weasels, and cool mammals, there are about 30 snake species, with half being venomous, including the Egyptian cobra and the horned viper. They utilize adaptations like being nocturnal and burrowing to escape the intense solar load, following nomadic movement patterns to exploit forage after rains, which is extremely rare. Some have even mastered metabolic water production, allowing them to extract every necessary molecule of moisture directly from the chemistry of the food they eat. To help preserve this unique ecosystem and wildlife, the Egyptian government created Gelf Kabir National Park, a massive 18,533 square mile or 48,000 square kilometer expanse in Egypt's remote southwest, specifically designed to protect both the unique geological features and the invaluable prehistoric heritage of the Gelf Kabir Plateau. Egypt's natural history is a testimony to resilience. From the painted walls of the plateau caves to the last pockets of endemic butterflies, the land tells a story of survival through radical change. Protecting this biodiversity is the only way to ensure that the cultural and biological heritage of this land persists for generations to come.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I did really enjoy looking up all of that history about Egypt because you only typically hear about the basic stuff. And I've never really looked closely at an Egyptian map before. I've never really looked into the wildlife, the birds. I didn't know there were so many birds there. Of course, they aren't always they're of course they aren't all in this area we're going to be talking about just because it is so dry. They usually the animals will usually stay around the oases. I don't know. But yeah, I still thought it was incredibly interesting.
It is. I always think it's fun traveling to different places, and learning about environments and cultures and supernatural stuff that we would never have known otherwise.
Of course. Now tell me
Um,
everything about the
of
supernatural
course,
aspect of this.
will do. So, dating back to the 13th century, there have been rumors of a magical place hidden in the isolated deserts of Egypt. The hidden city was somewhere west of the Nile River and was white as a dove and called the Oasis of Little Birds. In some texts, it was described to be in the Sahara Desert and full of treasure. Further, this treasure hidden oasis was ruled by a sleeping king and queen, with birdmen were warrior giants who stood to protect anyone from going in or out. The birdmen were said to have the strength of a dozen normal men, and they are thought to be mystical or supernatural beings. What is a sleeping king and queen, you may ask? I tried looking it up and had a hard time figuring out exactly where this came from, but it's a common belief in across the world. There's many stories of sleeping kings and queens. Essentially think Sleeping Beauty, Snow White.
Wow, so these birdmen are protecting them?
Yeah, and the city, so it's
All right.
interesting.
So thinking of birdmen, it's just like a man with abs, of course. And they have wings, right?
Probably have wings, they're super giant, and very, very strong.
Okay, definitely abs on that guy then.
Oh, for sure. So, historical writings from the scribes of an emir, a person who possessed authority either as an aristocrat, monarch, or of similar power, in 1481 wrote of a camel driver named Hamid Kila, who came to the area in bad shape and told the emir that he had been to the white city of Zerzura. Hamid Kila and a caravan had been heading from the Nile River to the oases of Dakhla and Karga, where they were tragically caught in a deadly sandstorm that killed everyone, leaving Kila the sole survivor as he hovered for protection under the shelter of his dead camel. After the vicious sandstorm passed, Kila moved from under the camel and found himself in an environment he did not recognize, as the storm changed the familiar landmarks of the area. Kila was stranded and in dire condition. He started to hallucinate and become delirious from dehydration when a group of men who were tall, with light hair and blue eyes, and were carrying swords, took Kila back to the city called Zerzura. Note that their swords were something that Kila had never seen before. The White City was reached through a valley that ran between two mountains, a wadi. From the wadi lay a road that led to the gates of the city, which had a strange and elaborate bird carving above them. This bird, according to other resources, were said to have the key to the city in its beak. The treasure seekers and explorers of the time and into modern day have dreamt of finding this hidden key that would lead them to the city.
I didn't realize that there was gonna be so much bird stuff in this episode.
Yeah, it made me excited. It was randomly kind of just sprinkled throughout.
And one more thing, sorry. Can you remind me what year this is?
So this is like the 13th century right now.
Shit. Okay.
And we're going to have a discussion how into the 20th century archaeologists were still in the search of this lost city, a la the mummy style, basically.
Cool.
The city was luxurious. The Zazurans, also called El Suri, treated Kila with kindness, and they spoke a form of Arabic that was hard for him to understand, but he could make out some words. After spending months in Zerzura, Hamid Kila, the camel driver, had made his way back to Benghazi, where he had come across the emir. When the emir asked how he came back, the previously extremely descriptive Keela grew vague and uncomfortable with the questioning, trying to divert to another topic. Finally, after some pestering, Keela told the emir that he had escaped in the middle of the night. But he couldn't give him a reason why. Why, if they were kind, you had a great time there, why would you escape in the middle of the night? What's going on with that?
Hmm.
So the emir was suspicious and instructed that the camel driver be searched by his guards, who, upon searching, found an incredibly valuable ruby set and golden ring. The emir, yeah, figured Keela stole the set, and that's why he escaped in the night from Zerzura.
Mm-mm.
The emir made a decision as this was not acceptable. The emir's guards took Keela into the desert where his hands were cut off from the theft. That's how it
Ooh,
be.
damn.
That's how it be. So, despite Keela's lie of the theft, the mirror did believe the story of Zerzura. It was just so descriptive that he sent his guards to look for the lost city
Yeah, because
without
like,
any
where
luck.
else would he have gotten? Where else would he have gotten that stuff? That treasure?
Right. According to other sources, the ring set supposedly came into possession of Libya's King Idris. The ring had reportedly been studied by many experts that spoke of its high value and considered its origin of likely 12th century Europe, which suggests that actually may have been from early European crusaders who got lost in the Sahara on their way to or from Jerusalem. However, there doesn't seem to be any actual evidence of the ring's existence in modern times. So, whether it's from the European Crusaders that got lost in the Sahara, the Zorzurans got it from them, who knows? The first European reference to Zerzura was in 1835 by Egyptologist John Gardner Wilkinson, who was informed that a local had found the oasis while searching for a lost camel. He estimated that it was about 5 days west of existing oases and was full of palms, springs, and ruins dating back to an unknown time. There had been plenty of magical and marvelous tales of hidden cities of treasure or oases. The difference with Wilkinson's reporting, though, is that later explorers had found several previously known oases that Wilkinson's had reported. Though, that doesn't include Zerzura. No one has found it. Not yet. That, of course, is not without trying. Various explorers have come over the years to Egypt in search of this hidden oases. British explorer William Joseph Harding would search for the Zerzura, inspired by the Book of Hidden Pearls. So, this book is pretty paramount in why so many treasure hunters, Egyptologists, archaeologists were out there searching. This book was apparently a lost medieval Arabic manuscript that supposedly was organized and compiled between the 13th and 15th centuries. Within the manuscript were hundreds of locations of specific treasures spread across Egypt and the surrounding areas. Not only were there more or less maps to treasure, but there were also spells and incantations in the book to protect against spirits and other supernatural beings. The manuscript referenced the mystical Zerzura in great detail.
That's cool. This has me wanting to go on a treasure hunt. Like in my head, as you're talking, I'm thinking that I need a giant sifter so I can sift all of the sand in the desert and get all of the treasure, just shake it a bit and get all of the treasure that's been lost over the years because I never thought of like just so many people have probably died in that desert, you know? Also, are there mummies? You know, have they been preserved in the sand? How deep is the deepest dead person in that desert? I don't know why I'm thinking of all these things.
I know, I think all those are great ideas. I would say definitely yes to the sifter, also metal detector, but I'm sure there's lots of people buried out there, and with that, a lot of treasure. I mean, with the sandstorms, I don't know how frequently sandstorms occur, but I mean, over thousands of years, hundreds and hundreds of years, that's shifting the landscape, and I'm curious to know more about that and how much it can change the landscape, and I guess to, like, what depth.
Yeah. I always wondered, how can they not find hidden cities? Like, some kind of sonar has to be able to detect things under the sand.
Yeah, that is true. I don't know,
It's
probably just,
so
like, lack of
incredible.
resources or funding?
I think everyone
I
should
don't know.
fund this.
Yeah, I agree. William Joseph Harding heard countless stories about Zerzura, not just within the Book of Hidden Pearls, but also from locals in the area. And among the most compelling evidence to King was the palm doves and crows that he had witnessed coming from the west, where Zerzura was believed to be. It was all desert, though within the stomachs of these birds, olives were found, not something you can
Oh.
find in the desert. So it was suggestive of a source of water that had to be near somewhere hidden in this desert. Despite the countless stories and evidence that King had of Zerzura, the efforts did prove fruitless. And he inquired about another explorer to see maybe if they could help. In 1847, German explorer Dakla traveled west towards Zerzura's supposed locations. He hired several men to help him on his excavations of the temple ruins of Deir el Hagar. Though rumors made its way back that all attempts to find this treasure were unsuccessful due to the spirit of an Afrit that guarded the treasure.
What's an afrit?
Well, it's a demon.
Yes, I'm so happy that this story has a demon.
It's basically a fire demon. So probably like the worst type of demon, right? Like
Yeah, it just
a
destroys
fire
everything.
demon. Yeah, not great. So they kept trying to find the treasure. They're looking through these temple ruins, but the treasure was guarded by an Afrit, aka a fire demon. Angrily, the explorer ordered his men to stay away from the ruins. But he invited just one of them in the temple with him. They were like, okay, he's sick of the other guys. I must have been on his good side. Like, we'll go in here and find the treasure, just us two. Maybe the fire demon will be fine with just us two being in here. Well, screams were heard by the employees left outside, and blackened smoke arose from the temple. The
What?
explorer exited the
Sorry.
temple alone, admitting to murdering the guide to appease the spirit and find the treasure he wanted.
Jeez Louise. Okay, it's just hard because I'm thinking, like, you know, what happens if, like, there was nothing? Like, what if that guy did it just to, like, scare everyone else, you know?
Money crazy. People go crazy for
Yeah.
treasure.
Like, what actually happened? That's insane.
It sounds like they didn't even find the treasure. So a man lost his life, no treasure was found. And I think that honestly happens a lot in treasure hunting. I'd say treasure hunting is probably just as dangerous as riding a motorcycle. So maybe don't do either or like wear a helmet or
Mhm.
both. I don't know.
Wear a helmet while treasure hunting.
Yes, wear a helmet while treasure hunting. Know the cultures that you are encroaching upon. And go from there. Be respectful. Okay, so soon after this troubling tale, King heard about all this and he's like, okay, let's I'm not gonna ask him for help. So King was advised to visit a sheik. The sheik informed King that Zerzura was enchanted and that all the people and livestock of the city were actually turned to stone, and that a sacrifice would be needed to bring them back to life.
So many sacrifices. Why?
Honestly, it's fun, but
Not if
probably
you're
not
the
great.
sacrifice.
Not if you're the sacrifice, not if you're the
I can just
sacrifice.
imagine if I'm on this, like, mission. I'm on some kind of mission. I would be that sacrifice, you know? It's
It
like
would be you. That's
yeah. Like, I'm just, like, all like, "Yeah, la, la, la," like, I'm so happy, and then it's like, bam, I'm a sacrifice. Be so sad.
hopefully, they don't see it coming, but
Yeah.
so he didn't sacrifice anyone, but it was just one more tail, like, on top of all the other stuff. So, need a sacrifice to someone, there's a sleeping king and queen, there's giant birdmen, um, and also the whole city is actually stone right now, and also there's a gate with a bird carved on top, and there's a key in its beak, and I have to find that, like, there's a lot going on, but the explorers were down to give it a try. Locals further told King of tales of strange, tall men, presumed from Zerzura, who had stolen bread from their ancestors. They were holding beef for generations. So, despite years of vigilant searching of nearly 200 miles of Saharan desert, the explorer king left Egypt disappointed and empty handed. Now we're going into the 20th century. So, explorer Ralph Bagnold and Laszlo Almasi led an expedition to search for Zerzura between 1929 and 1930 using Ford Model A trucks. Fun fact, the replacement for the Model T.
Wow.
The expedition was unsuccessful, reoccurring trend. And 2 years later, Almasi returned with Patrick Clayton doing recon flights of two valleys in Gelf Kabir, a remote plateau in the southwest corner of Egypt. Almasi did eventually discover some rain oases in the otherwise remote desert, which to some, is believed to be one of the three valleys of Zerzura, and it's called Wadi Tal. Bagnold and Almazi wrote of the discovery that he believed that Zerzura could be any one of the many names given to the fabulous cities discovered in the North African desert. So it's either something that was maybe already discovered or didn't exist at all. Or, I mean, let's have some fun with it. It could still be in existence and we just can't find it.
That's the one I like.
I like that one. Bagnold further wrote that there should be little doubt that the Wadis and the Gelf Kabir are the truth behind the Egyptian legends of Zerzura. Almasi, however, they conflicted on this. He wasn't so sure. In his continued surveys of the area, he found prehistoric petroglyphs before getting involved with German spies and secret missions during World War II. Fun side quest. After the war, Almasi did return to the Sahara Desert, where he spent the rest of his days in search of the Zerzura or what other hidden treasures the desert had to offer, despite Bagnold's thoughts that it's probably already been discovered, we're not going to find it. Almasi did a side quest in World War II, came back ready to find treasure.
Yeah, and imagine just spending the rest of your life trying to find that treasure and then you just don't.
So, participants of one of the excursions to find Zerzura, including Ralph Bagnold, and Almasi, they formed the Zerzura Club in a bar in Wadi Halfa, open to anyone who contributed to the search of the mythical oasis.
We would join that club.
For sure. So the club was never formalized, but did host annual Zerzura Club dinners. A mix of loose correspondence remains among members, though no official records exist of the club. During the first years of the club formation, club members in search of the mythical oasis of Zerzura stumbled upon the caves of Gelf Kabir and found ancient artworks and clues that, again, directly link to the myths of Zerzura. They're so close yet so far.
Mhm.
Many participants of the Zerzura Club claim to have seen the manuscript of the Book of Hidden Pearls, and others claim to have even had it in their possession at some points. The last known location of the Book of Hidden Pearls was supposedly in the hands of scholar Johnson Pasha, who had lent the manuscript to the Department of Antiquities in 1905 for translation, and that was the last it was ever seen.
Oh.
And I would like to say that the Zerzura Club might still exist in some form. So there is a website, it is about a bit out to date. They basically revived it in the early 2000s, but the website I did find didn't have too much on it.
It's
Did you
the
find it?
picture of the logo is of a oh, I totally looked up this bird, I forgot what it was. It's a bird holding a key. I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I'm sure at the time the Zerzura Club was filled with a bunch of old white men, but hopefully now it's more inclusive and it has all sorts
Yeah,
of people
exactly.
and women and birds. Maybe they're the answer.
You know what? They should just follow the birds. If there's an oasis, the birds are gonna, be going in and out and
That is true. They
migrating,
should
maybe.
they should have the birds do the work for them, like radio telemetry, like tag them,
Yeah.
track their movement, see where they're stopping and spending a lot of their time.
I think they should listen to this episode and take notes.
We have their website. Just send it to them.
We should just send it to them.
Dear Zerzura Club.
Gosh, we come up with such great ideas. People should listen to us.
I know. It's a blessing and a curse.
Mhm.
To end, I want to recite a piece from the supposed Book of Hidden Pearls, that lost medieval manuscript from the 15th century. Quote, in the city of Warda Baha, situated behind the citadel of El Suri, you will see palms, vines, and springs. Penetrate into the wadi and pursue your way up to it. You will find another wadi running westwards between two mountains. From this last wadi starts a road which will lead you to the city of Zerzura, of which you will find the door closed. The city is white like a pigeon, and on the door of it is carved a bird. Take with your hand the key and the beak of the bird, then open the door of the city. Enter, and there you will find great riches. Also, the king and queen sleeping in the castle. Do not approach them, but take the treasure. There you heard it, guys. I mean, start looking.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, they've been looking for years, right? But I also just looked up how big Egypt is. And if Egypt was a state, it would be the second largest, smaller than Alaska, but nearly 1.5 times larger than Texas. It's roughly equal in size to the combined area of Texas and New Mexico.
Okay, that's pretty
So that's
large.
pretty large. That's a really large desert. And you have to think back then too. I mean, even now, kind of traversing that sand must be so hard, and having enough water and supplies to get you far into the desert must be really tough. Like you might think, "Oh, I'm so close, I could feel it." But I have less than a day's worth of water. I have to turn back or I'm going to die. Like, I looked at the Google map. I wonder if they've seen anything on there. Or it could just be under the sand. Like, now I just want to learn everything about Egypt and the sand. Like, what is below the sand? How deep does the sand go? Could there be an entire city underneath the sand?
Can we do like a episode? It's just about sand.
Can we just talk about sand?
Can we just talk about sand? I'm sure there's like a sand monster or something.
You know what? Or
A
like the
sand cryptid.
sandworms or something.
Yes, sandworms. I want to talk about sandstorms, how deep the sand goes. I want to talk about quicksand.
Quicksand. Yeah. Oof. That's so scary.
I've heard other people say this too, but like growing up, I thought quicksand was going to be a bigger deal in my adult life than it actually is.
That's what I was gonna say
Like,
too. That and catching on fire. That's good things to know, though.
you were just always thinking and worried about quicksand as a child. At least I was.
Yeah, no, I kinda still worry about it. Because even on beaches, I've heard stories of people, like, just stepping off of some concrete and jumping into the sand and just falling into quicksand. It's like, is that how you're gonna go? You know? Alright, well, let's go into the scare scale. Alright, and for this week's scare scale, I'm kind of thinking of,
Sandstorm
let's do a sandstorm. That is great. On a scale of
or
1 to
quicksand?
Is there quicksand in the desert, though?
I don't know. I don't know. That's why we need an episode just about sand.
So pretend you are caught in a sandstorm on a scale of 1 to 10. 1, nothing to worry about. 5, it's spooky, but kind of in a fun way. You're like, haha, I'm in a sandstorm. This is cool. And 10 is the kind of thing where you refuse to even tell anyone of this experience. You are frightened to tears, thinking you're going to die the entire time, and it changes your life and you need therapy forever.
I have to say a 10 because sandstorms can be very dangerous where I'm concerned about like not being able to breathe.
And it's abrasive.
Yeah, there's just a lot of bad things.
Yeah, I think mine would start at, like, a 4. I'm like, "Oh, a sandstorm, this is really cool," and then it'd go to a 5, and then it'd go to a 6, and then it would turn into a 10, where it's like, "Oh, this is serious? I need to not die." Like, in my head, I'm, like, standing, right? And then you constantly have to, like, step up to, like, get on top of the sand, but that's not how it works. That's probably not it at all.
Probably a lot of sandstorms are more minor, but I was just looking up an article. It says, that sandstorms in the Sahara are killing kids half a continent away. The air pollutants it causes, literally killing people,
Yeah, that raises a
so
great point. I mean, not the killing people part, but isn't it that dust that goes over to South America that covers the rainforest and kind of deposits that nutrient layer?
Mhm.
That is so interesting. Wow. Without the deserts, we wouldn't have the rainforest.
Oh, well, that's a big thought. I like
Yeah.
that.
I freaking love the deserts that we have on
Me
Earth.
too.
Something cool that I learned while doing this research on Egypt is that this desert has been used as studies for how life could persist on other planets, like how Mars would be for humans. They've done research because it's like so desolate and dry, and the sandstorms are so intense, and they've tried to put people there and make them survive.
I love that. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us this week on Nature Obscura. We hoped you enjoyed learning about Zerzura as much as we did. And I don't know, let us know if you find it or if you found any other lost treasure. Um,
Yeah, just let us know before anyone else, and let us know if you use the giant sifter.
yes, giant sifter, metal detector. If you tracked the birds using radio telemetry, we'd like to know. Make sure to give us a follow if you can, and also tell a friend or family member or coworker or stranger that you see walking on the street that doesn't look like they're gonna murder you. Tell them about our podcast.
Just
Say
yell
that
it
they
at
should
them.
listen.
"Watch
Just yell
Nature
it.
Obscura."
Yeah,
Do
there you
it.
go.
And they're like, "Leave me alone." Stay obscure, Earthlings.
Transmission ending.